Welcome back to another episode of Conspiracy Chaos. My name is Roger, aka RGB. Appreciate everybody tuning in. Real cool episode here tonight. But before we get into it, joining me as always, we got my co-host Florida Mike. What's happening, bro?
Man, what's up, brother? Good day. Good day today.
I know, beautiful day out in that Area 51. Anthony's in the house. What's up, my man?
What's going on, Raj? What's going on, Raj, buddy? How you doing?
I'm good, man. Nothing much. And our special guest tonight, we have Dr. William Ramsey. He's a specialist on the Smiley face killer. Dr. Ramsey, we really appreciate your time and you joining us here tonight. How are you?
I'm well. Thanks for the invite. Glad to be with you.
Awesome. It's gonna be awesome.
This is we got a chance to watch your documentary on Amazon. Really interesting. I have a few questions for sure. I'm assuming the other guys do too. But why don't you tell us a little bit how you got into the Smiley face killer and about your documentary?
Yeah, it's kind of a long story. I wrote my first book or published my first book in 2010 about Aleister Crowley. Then I followed up while I was researching my follow-up, which was Children of the Beast. I then published Abomination about the West Memphis Three. And then I published Children of the Beast in 2014. While I was researching that, I kept seeing these people who were influenced by Crowley. The smiley face kept coming up in common culture. I had no idea what it meant, but you see it in Fight Club. Actually, there are sequences in Fight Club, in Alan Moore, The Watchmen, and it made me think of this old Coast to Coast show that I listened to. I can't remember the host, but it was about this phenomenon called the smiley face killers. So in my mind, I saw this symbol. There it is. Saw this symbol, and then this kind of what I thought was an urban myth, like this story that was on Coast to Coast about. It was a woman who was I know her name. I don't want to remember. Repeat it. But it was about this phenomenon of young men disappearing and then being found in water later, disappearing out of bars, always at night. So it's very different than a standard drowning where like you go out in Miami on a boat at 3 p.m. and then somebody falls off and drowns. Very different fact pattern. So I just kind of logged it in the back of my mind. I thought it was an urban myth. And then I started kind of studying. I was on Facebook at the time. And there were other groups talking about it, other researchers. So I was just kind of had an interest. And then a young man disappeared in Columbus, Ohio. His name was Joey LaBute. And so he was at a bar, and this is like 2016. It's so long ago. It's hard to believe. Almost 10 years ago. Yeah. I was like, if this guy is found in water, I'm going to freak out because it'll be like the same fact pattern of all these other young men. And sure enough, 19 days later, Joey LaBute was found in the Scioto River in a place previously searched. So it fit this fact pattern where these guys are found longer than should be. They should be, if somebody disappears in an urban area, usually they're found fairly quick. And if they're drowned, bodies don't usually disappear. So it was a real problem. So I'm watching this mystery. And it led me to kind of the two original researchers, Gilbertson and Gannon, who are still out there. So I read their book, Case Studies in Forensic Drownings. And that led to really my first document. It's 3.5 hours. It's way too long. But I tried to encapsulate all the stuff that I'd researched. And it's been suppressed. Like I couldn't upload it to certain places. I'm surprised it's still on Amazon. It's obviously underproduced. Like, I didn't have any. I think I did have a Indiegogo for I raised like $1,000. But anyway, so that was it. That was kind of my first thing. And I just followed.
Well, Raj,
you got the information out. You got the information out for sure. And what was shocking to me is how far back the cases go. That was a big thing. Like I thought this was like early 2000s when this started, but to see it go back to the 90s, early 90s, even late 80s, I believe I've seen a couple cases. That's crazy to me.
My first case was Patrick McNeil in Manhattan, and that was kind of mid 90s. So he was really one of the first ones. There's other cases that go back that kind of fit it, but it seems like this was a phenomenon who's kind of accelerating in commonality. And even up to the present, there was just this ferocious series of deaths happening in Chicago, Austin, and during, strangely enough, the lunar eclipse, if you guys or solar eclipse, that crossed Texas in 2024 coincided with lots of disappearances and deaths.
I see Mike smiling out there. I see Mike smiling out there, buddy. Do you know about this?
I was just reading up on it last like week or so, after the documentary, like trying to find other added stuff to listen to, read about. I mean, it brings a lot of questions with the similarities. Like, and you talk about it, but you don't actually say like who you think. Do you have an idea or group? Could it be females?
I think it's actually multi-gender. I don't think it's just men. I think some of these men are lured to their demise by females, which is strangely enough. I do think it's a mix of groups and people. Some people have traced them. I do believe there's an occult angle to some of them, but there's also like a homosexual angle to a lot. A lot of the victims, I think, an over majority are gay and in gay bars and stuff like that. So I think that this is something like from really dark underground kind of BDSM type stuff. And I did kind of research a little bit of that. I can't remember if it was one of my first or second. There was this documentary on Netflix called Kink, Kink, and it was this kind of really kind of dark BDSM group, but they had taken over what was known as the Armory in San Francisco, and they filmed really hardcore stuff like drownings, fake drownings, homosexual stuff, but they had, it was pay only, and people from all over the world could watch the streams and pay to watch the streams. Wow. And there were things like they talked to these porn directors and these actors, and I'm like, wow, this is the kind of community where something like this would happen, where people would get abducted, be kept for a while, and then disposed of. And I think that that's really what it is, and that's why it's a commonality worldwide, because these interests are all over the world.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it's something like that. I think that it's some kind of really dark sexual occult type thing that targets it's different than a heterosexual crime. It's like the target is the men. It's not like a dude going out trying to find a college age girl, which did happen. Like there's you can write a whole book on serial killer males who went after women on campuses or those kind of age.
Oh yeah, tons.
And I think it's like the men are vulnerable because they're naive. They don't think themselves as a target. They walk around at night by themselves. They're straight, so they don't think like some dude is after me. Like a woman is like always paranoid. They don't want to be alone. They don't want to drink from a thing. Yeah. And I think it coincides too with this growth in druggings that are taking place in bars all over the world, but the country for sure. So I do. I mean, so to answer your question, to break it specifically down to one group, maybe there's a group on the dark web that calls itself something, but I do think it's a group of people with that dark interest, and it overlaps with other cases that I've studied. Somebody was asking me about the family in Adelaide. They were in Australia, but the same kind of victims. Like there were gay guys, clearly networked, who were preying on young men. They were abducting them, drugging them. They used drugs that we don't even know of today. Mandrax was one of the names of the drugs, and they were keeping them. And one guy got caught, but it seemed like he was networked. He was working with other people. So I think that that's kind of the environment that these smiley face killings. And I think the label of the smiley face is what Gilbertson and Gannon came up with, but I think it's something applied to that. But you can take the phenomenon, the smiley face, away from the phenomenon, and the phenomenon's still happening. I think they found a new body in Ladybird Lake in Austin yesterday. So this is like another one, in this whole long list, and they're covering it up. So it's also taking place in an environment of really hyper corruption in the United States, like corruption, like it's beyond Banana Republic. So I think that I know that they're lying about the cases in Austin.
All right.
And Austin's been a hotspot for alleged serial killer right now. Are you tying that Austin serial killer to Smiley Face?
100%. It's the same MO. I mean, the thing is the people are seeing this, what they call the Rainy Street Ripper or the serial killer to this killings, but find me a victim who hasn't been found in water. I mean, maybe there's a few that have been found, but there's been 10 cases in Austin of people found in water after leaving a bar, disappearing. So why is that the case? Yeah. And So yeah, I think that it's part of the larger smiley face phenomenon, no doubt. And there have been there's been a couple local researchers who went out where bodies were found or staged. Like another name for this phenomenon is like stage drowning. And there was weird kind of scribbling and occult scribbling on those on one of the cases in Austin. And there is a tie, strangely enough, to the comedy scene out there. And I don't think it's a mistake that, or it's not some random thing that the growth of Austin as kind of a entertainment hub coincides with the rise of these deaths. Because two guys like Christian Pugh went to a Segura comedy show and disappeared for 60 days. He was found. He was in intensive care. Like he was in really bad shape. And he almost was a victim, but he was like, he's like, yeah, I was at a Tom Segura thing. And then there was another guy who was out. He was an Israeli and he was found dead. And they lied about it, in my opinion. The government lied. Well, I don't know if they tell the truth about that. They lied about how he was found. They said there was a man who had a heart attack at the Ladybird Lake. And the fact of the matter, the guy was only 24, 25. And then they changed the story to a bullet, and he was found only in his underwear. Like, who has a heart? Like, I'm going to take off my clothes and have a heart attack. Like, give me a freaking break.
Yeah.
Total lies.
Sure.
I know. So, I mean, I have inside information that contradicts what the police are telling the public. And it's the same thing. They don't want to make fear. They do the same thing in Boston and Chicago. They don't want to freak people out.
It's common for the police because it was after your documentary. I found another like random guy who had somebody on about smiley face killers, and they were talking about how the Manhattan, New York police and stuff, like there was commonalities that they were lying about the police report because to cover up something that they messed up in the investigation. So they would lie and say, oh, it was an accidental drowning or whatever. But then they found out that the water in the lungs were different than the water that they were placed at.
Right. It just actually happened in Nashville last year with the death of Riley Strain. He was found without water in his lungs. And they just quickly rationalized it as a dry drowning. When this guy was in good shape, he was tall, and I think he was 21 and athletic and an outdoorsman. And it's like a lot of these people, a lot of I think that there's also another aspect of these killings where the criminal analysts who are on TV are dumber than dirt. Like, I don't want to be mean, but like they literally think that the guy was able to stumble to the water's edge, pull out his manhood, pee, and then drowned. Like, it's just like I've been around men drinking and golf places, and people stumble around and do stupid stuff when they're drunk.
Sure.
I've never heard of somebody accidentally going in the water and then going paralyzed and drowning. They get out.
Never heard of it.
It's a total joke. So these things, they're doing a huge disservice to the public by coming to these conclusions without the proper analytical conclusions. Because where was Riley Strain for 2 weeks? There was a massive search. Riley Strain was all over the news in the country and internationally. And then he shows up like without his pants, without his boots, without his belt. And they never stated the condition of his body. So how long was he in the water? You can see videos of the police chief just saying, drowned, over, case over. They never investigated. They were done. Like, it's incredible. Like, you came to that conclusion so fast. And what's like the follow up on the body? And the family had to go get their own autopsy.
Yeah.
So what you have to do in these cases, because the medical examiners are losers from out of the country. Like the one medical examiner in like another case, which is Dakota James in Pittsburgh, he was a Chinese guy. Like, it's part of the whole blue framework corruption of these urban areas. These guys all probably I'm not saying, but there's so much corruption. And so
brother.
These things are happening in an environment of Chinatown level corruption. Yeah.
So with corruption, do you think this is, with all the misinformation the police are giving, do you think it could be a group of government officials per se?
For sure. They might have been paid through USAID under a different name. Call it the Orange Farming Group. Because the thing is
for a ritual.
Nobody follows up on these things. So you don't have to actually do anything. You get the money, and then you don't have to, because there's no oversight, because it's the same guys who are getting the payoffs doing the oversight. So this could easily be financed, and it goes there's a case for Obama. His chef, Tafari
Yeah.
Campbell. It's a classic SFK case. Somebody close to him. He's close to. We know Obama's gay, like whatever. He's part of Men's Country. He likes
Big Mike.
Big Mike.
It goes all the way back to Chicago, which a lot of cases too. A lot of these type of cases, and he was in basically a gay BDSM group, like Boys Country, Man's Country is what it was called. There's a picture of him up on the wall at Man's Country. Like people just don't even want to go there. And I think Tucker Carlson interviewed one of his boyfriends who like went in detail, coke and sex. But anyway,
Yep.
Tafari Campbell, classic case. This guy supposedly went out like waterboarding, right, with one of the long kind of surfboards on a Sunday evening, went under the water and disappeared. They couldn't find his body till the next morning. And it's just like the perfect timing. The call goes in the evening. They can't find anything. He magically appeared. For some reason, he was wave boarding without an ankle bracelet or something attaching it to it, so he couldn't get back on. I don't know anybody who does those standing boarding without a paddle, and he could swim. There's pictures of Tafari Campbell swimming.
Mm-hmm.
And this, and like the ponds in Martha's Vineyard are like 6 or 5 feet deep average. So like this whole story that they came up with makes no sense. And the next day, I mean, you can see. I mean, go back and look at the pictures of Obama. He's clearly injured. He has scrapes on his fingers and bruise on his face. Like, how did he get that? And he did. One of the sure signs of stress is not being able to eat and losing weight. And Obama's skinny, very skinny there. So something happened to him. Like I've seen people go through trying times. They don't eat. They lose weight. He was in that same kind of state. I have the pictures. You can check it out on my Twitter, actually.
No, I appreciate what you do and putting this information out there, buddy, because I tell Roger this every night, and I love Roger for this, getting me into the conspiracy world. It's a lot of fun. I tell him that I hate him for it because we golf.
Rabbit holes, man.
Yeah, we golf every day, and it's a lot of fun. We have a lot of good golf conversation, but I love the conspiracy talk. It is so fun. It's a lot of fun, actually, and I thank you for bringing all of this discussion.
So, Ant, this is one thing.
Yeah.
One thing when I emailed Dr. Ramsey, I took a second and I was trying to figure out like how to ask the question. And one thing he brought up is this isn't really a conspiracy. Like this is all proven facts. You know what I mean? I guess the conspiracy of it is who did it. It's not even really a conspiracy. That's like after you said that to me, Dr. Ramsey, in the email, I really sat back and thought about it. And I was like, you're absolutely right. It's not like these are all proven facts. It's just no one's doing the research to find out who did it, because I think I kind of what I'm, getting the feeling of after watching your documentary and doing some research on my own is they know who did it. They're not going to do the research to why who did it, is because it's probably the corrupt, law enforcement. They either did it themselves or they know the ones who they're protecting, the ones who do it. The dark arts type shit.
Yeah. You don't really know. I mean, go to Austin and look at Lady Bird Lake. It's a pond. It's basically just a modified huge swimming pool. It stops. I mean, there's no current. It's such a joke. So like they make the same rationale there that they did about Riley Strain. Oh, they were drunk. Nobody sees this. They were drunk and went down to take a leak, and all of a sudden, like he lost all body function and paralyzed and drowned. Like it doesn't make any sense.
No.
So the phenomenon, like you said, just to kind of cement that in your minds, like people are disappearing to be found later than they should be found, with injuries, in situations that have been previously searched. The families are involved. I mean, and the government is lying. Like incredible stuff. Like it's I'm surprised it's not national news. It kind of goes out and rises and falls. And I've even had cases in my book, like they're not investigating. There was a kid in Boston, TD Garden, who I have a full chapter in my new book, who literally ended up face down in the water. And there's been multiple cases out of TD Garden, face down in the water. And there's a guy rescuing him, and they never followed up to find out who the first guy on the scene was. I mean, it's off the charts. His name was it Finn? Ryan, I think.
I got you. I was watching the documentary that was put out there on Amazon. It's like a 6-part series.
Yeah, that's Oxygen. Yeah, Oxygen.
Gotcha. And I'll tell you what, they put a lot of good information out there for the smiley face killers because they went into each case, which I appreciated learning this. Again, I'm a golfer, but I like the conspiracy talk. I mean, it's not really a conspiracy, Roger. Again, this is all facts. This is all shit that's right there for us that we could go research. It's a lot of fun, man. It's not a conspiracy, guys. It is not a conspiracy. I will tell you this right now, 1,000%. I've been doing my research. I've been doing my studying and everything, and it's not a conspiracy, guys. It's not a conspiracy. I'm sorry.
Sure.
Agreed.
There
Absolutely.
is a conspiracy. The conspiracy is who's doing this.
Yeah, who's doing it?
All it takes to make a conspiracy is two people working together to create a criminal act. It's not like a super hard standard. So people who think like they're thinking in terms of like, oh, this isn't something that's covered on the mainstream media. It is covered on kind of alternate streaming. I think some of these newer kind of streaming channels like AON or something have done great shows on true crime. They're better than anything on the traditional media. So I think that really the traditional media, there's such a corrupt hold on it that anything outside of that seems all in the alternate. It takes on this thing of like, oh, you're not legitimate. Oh, you're theorizing. And that's what they put out to you and try to label you with that. It's part of the there's a lot of competition in the alternate media, but that's part of the competitive nature of like any environment is to demean somebody else's research. They're not legit. We're legit. That's why you should watch CNN. And then if anybody's to delegitimize themselves, it's the traditional media, because the real research is taking place in the alternate media where people are doing longer form things and actually podcasting and actual putting out books that wouldn't be approved by these old school corporate media things. It's all run by six huge corporations. It's almost like something from Rollerball. And they don't I mean, even Epstein's another example. Is Epstein a conspiracy? Of course. He's a conspiracy of all conspiracies. He's a conspirator, pedophile, trafficker, probably murders. There's weird deaths in Florida.
I think he was a CIA guy.
Yeah, DAs were manipulated. He's involved in intelligence, Mossad, FBI, and CIA, all of them.
Yeah.
So, and that's how they keep going. See, like the model is like Maxwell, the dad who worked with like almost every intel agency out there. He worked for MI6, for KGB, and for the Mossad. So he's playing. It's like a 10-dimensional chess. Like he's playing them all off against each other. That's what was going on with Epstein. Is that people were even the intelligence guys were only seeing like they're in a wilderness of mirrors, only seeing courts. Anyway. Conspiracy like this kind of, I think that it's actually something that's been implanted in the subconscious of Americans that conspiracy means you're crazy. But conspiracies happen all the time. Give me a break. It's just people who haven't done rather. They're just gullible.
Well, that's what they're back in the day. That's what they called the whistleblowers. Calling conspiracy theory means truth teller, really. But they called it. They made it look crazy.
There's a CIA document to degrade anybody looking into the JFK assassination and label them as theorists. And then you get the herd mind, and you get this mass formation, and it's like anybody who doesn't think Oswald did it's crazy. And then everybody like wants to cuddle up because that's the natural herd mentality of humanity is to always systematize and always think with the group because nobody wants to actually have the courage to actually think by themselves.
That's weird. That's why they call people sheep.
Yeah, right. So
this
is a phenomenon that started decades ago. The government's been lying to the American people forever. You're a slave. You're a tax slave. They're taking half of your taxes. And wake up. Snap out of it. Snap out of the hypnotism. Snap out of the hypnotism, the conspiracy theory nonsense, the conspiracies like, oh, William, you're the greatest conspiracy. You're a conspiracy guy. I'm just telling the truth. What's conspiracy about me? Yeah. So I don't accept that label. People do put that label on me, And they also, I don't even accept that genre. Why do you accept this conspiracy genre when conspiracies are happening right now, over and over, piled on top of each other, Everest high? Like, give me a break.
I love
Raj,
it.
I'm
Now,
interested.
Dr. Ramsey, did you ever look at this? Oh, hold on. Did you ever look into this in a chronological order to see if there's any like necessary groups or I don't know parties like you were saying that's got something to do with the comedy scene? Do you think maybe like music industry in a way could have something to do with this as well?
There's been other people who've said that. There was a really I have a chapter in my new book about this psychic. Her name is Riley Sloan, I believe. And she's done some work on stuff that I've done research on. She's done the West Memphis 3, and she looked into this case of Riley Strain. And I really resonated with what she said. I'm not like a user of psychics, but she keyed in either intuitively or whatever. Like, this was going back to the music industry of Chicago in the kind of this kind of alternate music things. They were doing it, and there's this black cars involved and really dark aspects to it of this music career where they were preying on men. If you look into David Geffen and some of the rumors about him too, they are super dark. They're not even believable. But I think that she was really onto something, that this is kind of like an executive, like almost like something from Squid Games or something, where they're toying with the peasants, and I think there's a selection process. Like, I think Dakota James, which was one of the 6 that was covered in the Oxygen series you mentioned, I think that he was pre-selected. I think he had gone through kind of a selection process before. He had been drugged and picked up by a friend before he actually went missing in Pittsburgh. And I think that's part of like the cat and mouse toying game and having power over some like young, handsome swimmer type. I mean, he's found in water. He's the head of his like high school swim team. Like, it makes it even more implausible that he drowned. The other thing about Dakota James, he's missing for 40 days. He's found in a major waterway that was being searched, and he had no decay in his body. So where was he for 40 days? It gets creepy. It gets really dark.
And I wonder why do you think that the periods of time that they hold people is so sporadic to throw off people?
I think there's all kinds of stuff. I think that one of the earlier cases that came out that was covered in Gilbertson and Gannon's book, I think the name was Nate Kapfer, Kapfer. They think he had been frozen. So he had been frozen and then put in the water to confuse time of death and decay of the body. And it actually ties into other mass murderers. If you remember the story of the Iceman, he was a New York hitman, and they got the nickname because he was just a total monster. Like, he would you wouldn't want to see that guy in daylight, like walking around the street. I forgot his name. He had a Polish last name, Kapinski. He was huge too, like 6'4". But he would do things to confuse the police. And one of the reasons he got his nickname is he would freeze the bodies and then put them in the water. So time of death wasn't ascertainable. So these cases, I think there's a higher intelligence. It's a plotted out, thought out, pre-thought out crime. It's not a crime of passion.
Kuklinski,
thank you.
Yeah.
So it's like somebody's plotting and planning, like, maybe they do that in other rapes or other types of crimes, but it's not like 2 people arguing at a bar or a husband and wife, and it's some kind of domestic violence thing where people just go crazy. These are kind of like I think these are very well thought out crimes and very well thought out kind of, I want to get away from the crime. And so that's kind of one of the reasons why this research into the smiley face killers got me into looking into the Order of 9 Angles, whose kind of central tenet is to murder somebody and get away with it. Like, that's the central tenet of their idea. So that kind of overlaps with this. And that's my book, Global Death Cult, which I go into the Order of 9 Angles. Yeah.
Nice. So Dr. Raj, I'm sorry if I talk too much, but Raj, Raj told me about your books and everything, and so I just have a bunch of questions, guys. I have so many questions that go through my mind every night. But I want to bring it back to like the guy that left the hockey game. I forgot his name. So he left the hockey game and he started going for a stroll. Started going for a walk. They found his phone. Correct? Did they find his phone?
Which city was this in?
The hockey, Boston.
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 There was a couple.
Bruins,
One
yeah.
I think his name was William Hurley.
Yep.
And then there was, I think TD Garden, maybe a basketball game. Hurley was either hockey or basketball. But they found his phone, yeah. I think that's the one you're talking
it was the hockey. So it was the Bruins game. The story was the Bruins game, and they found his phone smashed. They found his phone smashed. And supposedly, again, these are all athletes. These are all amazing athletes, which I see these guys. I see these guys every single day out there. They could put back booze. So I don't know. Again, these questions, these are all athletes that we see every day. We golf, we're out there. I don't know, man. I think they're being drugged. I think they're possibly being drugged by something or whoever it is. That are they driving by these guys that are outside, like having a smoke or whatever, and are they going for whatever it is, whatever the story is? Is there a group of ladies that drive by this kid that literally they might say, hey buddy, we got a party, we got something or whatever, try this, try that or whatever. And they give him something. I don't know. I really don't know. I have so many questions with this smiley face killer. And Raj, again, thank you for getting me into this, buddy, because it's such good conversation. It's awesome. I don't know, man.
Go read the original kind of book on this. Really, the best foundational book is by Gilbertson and Gannon, Case Studies in Forensic Drownings. They went in and found GHB is all over these cases. Yeah. These guys have abnormal amounts of GHB. And I do think one of the reasons why, I mean, if you look at the cover of my documentary from 2017, it has this really weird picture of a guy in leather with a tube in his mouth. And it's from a video called Broken. And when I saw that, like, you know, my jaw dropped. I was like, what the heck is this? Because it's a retelling of the smiley face killing phenomenon. Guys are driving around. They see this young guy. He's suddenly downstairs in a dungeon, and they're torturing the living daylights out of him. And then at the end, they put him in, tie him up in something, and drowned him, ritually drowned him with a tube in his mouth. And that's the whole confusing thing about these cases, that they may not even be drowned in the water that they're found in. They may be pre-drowned. That's the trick. It's that people that dark and that thoughtful. Well, if you look into the guy who did that video, he is one of the darkest people imaginable. Peter Christensen or Christopherson, Christensen, I think is his name. It's unbelievable. But then, so I think they are driving around. And some people have speculated they literally stun these guys. So they're either being drugged in bars, or there's somebody's driving around in a group and they get a guy close enough and they stun him. Like one of the other cases that came out of TDS Garden, well, other than Hurley, was a guy by the name of Kelleher. Young guy drinking, you know, walking north. They can find his cell phone. They know his cell phone direction. He somehow got across, I think it's the St. Charles Bridge in Boston. They can follow him. All of a sudden he stops, and the follow of the path of, like, he disappears. But the path of his cell phone, they can follow the pings going south past TDS into the urban area of Boston and then stopping. So, like, somebody seems like it, like if you could trace that, somebody abducted him, put him in a car, and then realized, hey, we still got his phone, guys. We got to get rid of this. And so I think they are using something to subdue, either through drugging. In a lot of these cases, if you read through Gilbertson again, and even some of the cases out of Austin or Chicago, these people start acting out of character, even after one or two drinks. So they'll have, or some aren't even drinkers. Like there was this one kid out of, I think it was Martinez, out of Austin, very healthy guy. Like his brother talks about him online. They used to work out and go lift weights every day. Like these are like healthy young males. And he said his brother was at the bar and had 1 or 2 drinks and just started acting whacked out. It doesn't make sense unless he was given GHB or something and I think that there's some very sinister characters in these bars, and they're involved in drugs and drug running. And it's interesting because this psychic that I told you about, she intuited or whatever is coming from the other realm or the Akashic record or whatever. But she's like, some of these bartenders have a special box behind the bar that has the drugs and they know where it is. So if some guy's getting the normal lemon for his gin and tonic, but in the other box is the drugged lemon for these people they don't like or are targeting or whatever. And it's like a super creepy, almost like a hostile type thing, like where they're selecting. And some of these guys are bored. They hate the freaking guests. They hate the beverage. They hate their job. And sometimes, I mean, I've worked in the beverage industry restaurant, and sometimes the guests just irritate the crap out of you after a while. Like you don't even want to do the job because they're so annoying. So I think that there may be some hostility in that, but I think drugging is right. I think that the drugs are like.
Do you think
that's the whole thing? Yeah.
Maybe the bartenders are the ones that are doing the selecting in the scheme of things when possibly?
Absolutely. Maybe that's why they got their job. That's why they're put in there. Like there's a network. So hey, Joe, go get a job at the bar. And then
No
we'll do
different than
this.
sex trafficking.
Maybe
It's just murders.
she said, another Sloan, this is an interesting, that it's a snuff film ring. So somebody's paying to facilitate this. Somebody's facility, and they get off on it. And people who say there's no snuff films, it's a totally bogus, because we found there's like real snuff film people. There's one guy, Magnata, out of Canada. There's one crazy person in Ice Pick where he got some poor Asian guy and cut him up, filmed it. And then it was the 2 guys, it was Leonard Lake and Richard Ng in California. They did horrible stuff. So this really dark aspect of the human condition is out there, and I think that's part of the Smiley Face Killers.
Yeah.
And she named names, like she named celebrities and stuff like that freak you out. Like and it was always surmised, like people are doing this brainstorming. How could this happen? What's the optimal thing? Well, the optimal thing would be to come into a town, commit a crime, and leave, because you're not in that same terrain. And it's interesting because I mentioned Joey LaBute in this earlier talk in Columbus. What was going on when Joey LaBute disappeared? It was the Arnold Schwarzenegger Classic, bodybuilding classic. Everybody flies into town. It's the #1 bodybuilding convention in the world. So they fly into town. They're in the bars. They're partying and working out. And I didn't know this, but apparently there's a real strong undercurrent of homosexuality in these bodybuilding things, which makes perfect sense because it's men, right? Or I guess it's women too, but somebody comes in, I want to take somebody back to my private plane or whatever, and Joey LaBute was the victim.
Jeez, man.
And then you leave town.
Go ahead, Raj.
Yeah,
and it's international. Well, I mean, there were stories. Have you ever heard the stories of the Chinese guys who were in China who were paying people in Ukraine to like rape women and children? And they were paying huge amounts to very poor people to fly into places in rural Ukraine before the war and do horrible things. There's all kinds of organ trafficking too taking place in Ukraine as well. But so there's this very dark underground, and I think that the Smiley Face Killers is really part of that. But it's happening it's interesting that this phenomenon crops up right around the time that the internet pops up, right? Like, so there's not many cases of these disappeared people in water. So the internet facilitates this networking. It facilitates groups, sharing stories maybe, or talking about things, or people with similar interests. Some that are good, like maybe basket weaving, ceramics, but then the really dark stuff, the pedophilia, and we know there's just massive trading of pedophile stuff on like Facebook of all places. In some of these places, like Zuckerberg, he was in Congress admitting like he was sorry for not putting an end to it, which tells you like he's blackmailing the crap out of everybody on Facebook.
Oh yeah,
in my opinion, he's a real he's a monster. Like he's literally a monster in the United States. So these similar interests are there, and you can hear these red rooms are real. Like they found red rooms. There was a guy in Philippines, I can't remember, it's pitch black evil. Like you cannot even believe he was doing this, but like he was running these red rooms. Like I talked about the armory, he was doing it, but like literally kids and like unspeakable depravity. Like I don't even know what to compare it to.
It's insane, Doctor. Again, we appreciate you doing all this research, man, because it's eye-opening. It's eye-opening for sure.
Here's another interesting aspect of all of these smiley face killings, and it's the opposite of what happened in the film. What is it? Silence of the Lambs. Almost all of them are middle class. It's so weird. That's like the pre-selection thing. So nobody rich, no son of the rich, no son of the famous, no son of doctors and lawyers. It's all working class people, and they don't have that kind of like seasoned skill set of some kind of like doctor or lawyer or something like that. Like, I mean, it was something that wasn't clear to me until like within the last 5 years. But I'm like, this is kind of like, it's not only based on, it's one of the strangest aspects. It's not only based on looks where they're athletic. Like I think Gilbertson did a BMI index of all the victims, and there's nobody fat. There's nobody even middle, like even like dad bod,
Right.
like they're all skinny, healthy specimens or something, but they're all middle class too. Like there's like,
it's
and so
creepy.
that's what, if you remember the story of the Silence of the Lambs, the reason like it all gets in a hubbub and that they reach out to Hannibal Lecter is that the daughter of a senator gets abducted, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that's why everything kind of ramps up.
Jeez.
And there may
Almost
be
like
an
100
over.
So
There may
much,
be, yeah,
man.
it just gets really dark. And it may tie into this whole growth of transsexualism and this trans violence that's taking place. And it's nothing I really thought about in the
Practice
past.
in Satanist rituals anyway. So they're all about the transsexual and the gay and all that. And is Aleister Crowley part of the Order of the Nine Angles?
No, it's a really good question. He was influential on the creation of the Order of Nine Angles. Like the creator is traced back to Myatt. This guy David Myatt, who's in the UK, who came out of kind of the far right in the UK, who was like basically a Hitler lover, right? The National Socialist. But he was also an occultist. So he wrote it, but he had read a lot of Crowley. I think that he was part of Crowley's OTO, but wanted to kind of expand on it. And so that's kind of, but it's interesting because he also was talking to, and I have it in my book, like there was a correspondence between Myatt and Michael Aquino of the Temple of Set, who came out of LaVey, right? So Aquino was LaVey, and in that area there was a lot of people who were Crowleyites, but it's kind of like all those guys, whether it was LaVey, Aquino, or Myatt, all knew of Crowley and either kind of took their own take on Crowley or their own facets of Crowley, but they all mentioned Crowley. There's no question about it. But whether it's like they're really like fanatical Rigueur followers of Crowley, that didn't seem to be the case. Certainly in the 09A.
Jeez, man, there's so many.
Yeah, I'm just trying to tie it all together because it's very evil, right? Like that's what
there's
we're doing.
vampirism too. The 09A is interesting. If you wanted like an introductory to the symbolism of the 09A, something incredible happened, which is Ed Sheeran, like this international pop star, wrote this song called Bad Habits and made a video. And it's basically a run through of ONA ideology. There's just absolutely no question. 500 million downloads on YouTube alone, billions of plays globally, #1 hit all over. It's the freaking 09A. Like it's off the charts. The sun goes down. He transforms into a vampire. He's going after the mundanes. They have this really view of like the average human's just a cow. He has his own posse of fellow vampires. They have smiley face earrings. They have smiley face necklaces. He meets this little kid. He goes through this whole yellow smiley face balloons, the same color of the smiley face that's in the Smiley Face Killers and all these films. Go watch Bad Habits. It'll blow you away. I have a whole chapter on it in my book. Wow. But somebody told me about that. Well, it gets even more interesting. So Ed Sheeran is friends with another group called Bring Me the Horizon, which didn't. It's a bigger group in the UK. They're kind of like a metal group. They have stories like Drowned and things like that. So does Ed Sheeran, by the way. He has others. He has a smiley face tattoo. Ed Sheeran has a yellow smiley face tattoo on his torso. Strange.
Wow.
Weird.
He's with this group, Bring Me the Horizon. So what is that referencing? It's the idea of the sun coming up, right? The horizon, that's when the sun comes up, not when it goes down. So it's like Bring Me the Horizon is referencing the sun coming up. That means they're out all night, right? That's O9A, all dark. All of these so-called stage drownings are all the dark. There's no day cases. Like there isn't in the core group of cases that I put together, 300 or 400, all nighttime.
Wow.
Sheeran does a song with this group, Bring Me the Horizon. They've like collabed. They're friends. Who also has Bring Me the Horizon collaborated with? Grimes. Who is Grimes? Grimes is one of the paramours of Elon Musk. Really, this guy, or
yeah.
call him, or the Nazi, or whatever.
Jeez.
And they're trying to label him as a Nazi now, but he talks about dark MAGA, right? Have you heard this term, dark MAGA?
I've heard it. I don't know.
Can you educate me?
I have heard it, but I don't know what
Can
it
you
really
guys hear
means.
me? I can't hear you.
Yeah, you're good.
Okay.
He's
about droning on about Grimes and stuff. Which part did I?
Yeah, that's where we heard all that. Yeah, we heard about
Okay.
Grimes, Elon's.
Elon,
Elon's
have you heard the word dark MAGA?
No, that's what we didn't know. We didn't know what that was.
So like, there's MAGA, the red hats, but Elon's been. You will see him with this kind of concept of dark MAGA, which is like kind of more kind of chaos magician, I guess, interpretation of the MAGA movement. But it's weird because it ties Musk to his ex-girlfriend or whatever, Grimes, to Bring Me the Horizon, to Ed Sheeran. But it's the concept in the ONA, Ed Sheeran to the ONA. The ONA's doctrines are that they are going to create a dark imperium, and they are going to ascend from Homo erectus to Homo galacticus. So they're talking about a 400-year plan to create a new solar imperium. And it comes out of these far right ideas, and it's called the Dark Imperium. And what the heck is Elon Musk doing? He is creating kind of he's going to go to Mars, right? So like he's creating this new system or whatever. Like he's off on another thing. And some of this dark MAGA, it actually has kind of a philosophical background. And one of these guys who's the philosophical view of this dark imperium or dark government system is a guy named Lind, who is affiliated with the Order of Nine Angles.
Wow.
Yeah.
I got to look into the Order of the Nine. I'm not too familiar with it. This
Look
is
up
all
Global
pretty new.
Death Cult. Look up Global Death Cult. It's like I published it in 2001. And I think it stands the test of time because it's kind of a historical background of the Order of Nine Angles. So I go from its kind of inception to 2021, not 2001, 2021. So I follow the murders, deaths, known things, members, spin-offs, all the way on. There's actually, it made it to Russia. I was on a huge channel in Russia, like with 5 million subscribers, talking about the Order of Nine Angles because they have a problem with this kind of new brand of Satanism.
It's so crazy how everything always ties into it.
Everything always
back in.
Yep. Yes, sir.
Everything always ties in, man. Everything.
These people are in public.
Just one piece
Elon
leads to the
Musk
other.
may know. He's obviously very intelligent. And this group, the Order of Nine Angles, its philosophies and ideas are not kind of pedestrian. They are somebody sophisticated put that together, whether it was Intel or Myatt, but somebody put like hard work into that. There's 10,000 documents, like 10,000 pages of documents. It's not some kind of like somebody wrote Kaczynski wrote a 50-page treatise. No. It has very sophisticated ideas of infiltration, getting away with killings, of being against humanity, of having its own kind of crew, that the rest of humanity is a bunch of mundanes. And they view people kind of like sheep or like a herd. Like it doesn't matter. They don't care. We don't care about them. And they're above the law. So like all these ideas, you have to understand that. And there's been killings of these guys. I don't know where you guys are, but there was a killing in Canada by an 09A member. His name was Willem von Nudegem, and he went out and slit people's throats in the night. Just randoms. That's the whole thing. You're supposed to pick somebody randomly. You're not supposed to get at your friend or anything that can be traced back to you.
Right.
And that's kind of like the smiley face killings. Like it's not their friends. I don't think it's their friends.
No. You got definitely some type of ritual.
Yeah.
Here's another interesting one. There's another case that's not really covered in a lot of the stuff, but it's the case of Colin Finnerty. He was the #1 quarterback for 2 years. He won the national championship for college at level B, smaller college schools. But he was a great athlete, and he would go hunting in Michigan, and he disappeared. And he was saying, you can go see documentaries about this guy. They're online. Like Sports Illustrated did a documentary. Like Colin went out. He said he was being followed. There was a massive search. Then he found out in a place where there was previously searched. Well, I know somebody who decided to remote view Colin Finnerty's death. And it was much like this guy Kelleher I was telling you about, where they could follow his cell phone pinging in weird places around Michigan, central Michigan. What was he doing before he was found dead? And so what the remote viewing, I don't know if you've looked into this, but it's basically like kind of like a scrying where it's training.
Yeah, I'm just getting into the remote viewing.
It's really a trip. It comes out of CIA and all these other Stargate stuff, which is interesting because Trump called his AI project Stargate, which is kind of strange because it's almost like they're going to remote view you, which, I mean, whole technocratic element of Trump is a whole nother story. Anyway, this remote viewing, the whole thing is like you're supposed to be in an information-free environment. You have no idea what the background is. So you're supposed to not have any idea of names, dates, places, anything. So you're keeping the kind of environment of this guy doing the remote viewing totally cleansed. Dude. What this remote viewer, you can see it in my book. He's doing drawings. He's saying, okay, this guy was here. He was abducted. He was taken in a van to another place. And I'm getting this feeling of something over his mouth and somebody pouring water over his face. And I mean, it's just so incredible because this guy from Switzerland is keying in to what might be happening in these smiley face killers. They are being water tortured. That's the classic water torture. You put a cloth over somebody's face with water. And he says the victim doesn't know what's going on. He's totally confused because he's a random victim. All right. And so then they have and they're driving around. And the remote viewer reflected what people knew about the cell phone data, that he was being driven around and then dumped. It's off the charts.
Wow.
It's so,
Dude,
it's off. Look up Colin Finnerty. Look up Colin, Finnerty. Look at the documentary from, and this is like one of the real problem. The thing about this phenomenon is people see little pieces of it and they're mystified. They're like, a stone eater. I don't know what the right word is, but they don't quite see the big picture that it's happening all over the place, all over the world. And these one cases are just little parts of this huge tapestry. So people are saying, oh, there's just a serial killer in Austin. No, this is part of a larger thing. There are guys flying around the world. There's another case that happened have you read about this trans death cult type thing where people were dying in California? Yes. Okay.
Yeah, Tripoli talked about it a little bit.
Yeah, okay. One of the guys is from Oxford. Well, I did a case about a smiley face killing in Oxford who was a trans killer. His name was Scarlett Blake. And he did a kill. He literally went out at night during the break from COVID in like 2021 and found a random victim and killed him and dumped him in water. His name was Jorge Carreño. He is Spanish. And the interesting thing about him is that the reason they caught him he was a perfect crime and he was around the death. So he would go and take pictures of the death scene. I mean, really vampiric, creepy stuff. And he was a trans guy out of Tavistock. It's unbelievable. He's Asian. And if you saw him, you would be like, this guy looks like the most non-threatening person on earth. And they kind of have that. That's what's scary. is like the people who really look scary are doing you a favor, because some of these people you just like a blank poker face. Anyway,
Wow.
Scarlett Blake, the interesting thing, he was the person who told him of the crime, because he told somebody was another trans guy in, of all places, Austin, Texas. So it was international, and this guy Scarlett Blake was traveling around. We know he flew to the U.S. He was in Colorado. He was in Texas. What was he doing there? Is this his first crime? And this is another element of the law enforcement dropping the ball. They just accepted that he committed this crime, and that was it. But they don't see him as part member of the international trans community or part of this. And does he know the guy, Maximilian, I forgot his name, who's involved in these killings in the U.S.? He was also a Asian trans guy from Oxford. In my heart of hearts, I can't believe that they haven't crossed paths, because it's a small community, right? So we talk about these communities on like FetLife or BDSM communities. These trans are another community. They know each other. So something weird's going on like this. But yeah, look into the death of Jorge Carreño. They thought it was an accidental drowning. And it's the same phenomenon. When you read this as much as I have, you see the same fact pattern every time. Disappearance, strange death, young guy, healthy, a pool of water. Like it was in some kind of almost, the river Kerwell is a stream.
Yeah.
Like the pond isn't even moving. Like, yeah. And so what happened was, and the other thing is that Scarlett Blake was he's sober. He's conscientious. He's conscious of what he's doing. He takes his victim out of the CCTV cameras. He had to have known. And so many of these cases, especially in the UK, happen outside the range of camera. And that's what happened to some of these other cases like Dakota James. He's on film downtown Pittsburgh. All of a sudden he leaves the camera views, disappeared. So,
Jeez.
yeah, it gets really
wow.
like it's really dangerous out there. I'm not kidding.
So Raj, I noticed again, doctor, you put all this information out there, and we appreciate that. It's awesome, man. Amazon has everything you're looking for this. If anybody is curious, because today at the store, all day long, Raj, I was on there, just hunting, man, bro, and just trying to figure it out. I was taking notes. I was literally taking notes. So all my friends at the store, if they were coming in and watching me, I was
there's
taking
so
notes.
much, right?
There is so much. I was literally taking notes, bro. It's insane.
This book is the book that I put out
There's
in
so
2020.
much. Now,
the book that I put out in 2023 is the aggregation of 10 years of research. So you're getting it all in there. Like if you want to come up to speed on what's known as the Smiley Face Killers, get the book. You will be, I'll give you your money back. If you think that this is some kind of random thing after you read my book, no questions asked, I'll give you your $20 back.
Jeez. Dude, there's so much, man.
You have the audio book of it?
They wouldn't give me an audio book.
Conversation tonight alone.
Pardon?
What'd you get, Raj? What was that? Raj, what'd you say?
In this conversation alone tonight, there's about 5 different things you've made me think of in a different way than what I thought about before.
Definitely.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is that I thought it was a urban myth. I thought this phenomenon was fake. I thought it was up there with like, I don't know, the Loch Ness Monster or something. Like, oh, come on, you guys are facilitating this, or some kind of weird UFO story that isn't real. But then I followed it and I was like, this is a real phenomenon. Somebody knows how to get away with the perfect crime. Yeah. Because the police just think the guy's drowned, right? So it's like, hey, we can wrap this up. The cops can take it off their books. There's no investigation, nothing strange.
So what is it, over 700, right? Over 700 men?
I'm at 350, I think, or 400. Okay. I think I have a list in the back of the book. I mean,
okay, 350. Wow. That's still a lot.
I'm sorry, I'm just literally listening.
373.
Okay.
This is insane, guys. This is so insane. This is out of my comfort zone, guys. I'm a golfer. Jeez. So
we know.
My mind is like this, guys, right now. It's insane. I'm just lost,
It's
guys.
nuts.
You can't go out drinking by yourself if you're a young guy who's in his early 20s, at college age or whatever. You have to stay together. I mean,
Yeah.
what happened? All these people, it's the same story. They get separated from their friends. They start acting strange. They wander off. Somebody may be watching you, you know? Somebody
And
may
You never know.
I lived in Chicago. I lived in Chicago for quite a while. So like when I was going through all this and researching the information, watching your documentary, I was like looking for the places that were in Chicago, like in downtown. And I'm glad I was always with a group of friends because there was multiple disappearances in like the area I hung out in and drank back in my 20s. I don't drink anymore, but yeah, it was kind of weird. I got like a chill feeling when I looked at it because I was like, wow, good thing I was with a group of people.
it's dangerous out there, especially in the urban areas. They'll cover it up. There was a rampage in 2023. I have like 10. Look up Seamus Gray, too, of northern Chicago, kind of at the border of Illinois and Wisconsin. Yeah, because it's the classic case. By himself, closes the bar, wanders off by himself, leaves the CCTV camera, disappears. Huge story all over the news. Can't find him. They look in this whole area where he was last seen. Then all of a sudden he magically appears there, and there's a smiley face spray painted on the ground. I can show it to you. Yeah. So some of the smiley faces are still there. Yeah, it's crazy.
Wow.
And I think it's
That's
kind of
crazy.
a signal. Like this is like, hey, I'm one of your team, and this is what we pulled off another one. We pulled off another crime.
Jeez, Raj, I'm curious on your thoughts of this whole thing because you're a big fan of Tripoli and tinfoil hat, Raj. What you got, bro?
I think it's just interesting on how many, like, worldwide. It's not just like, a certain area or anything like that. It's a worldwide thing. And everything just lines up. And like you just said, with the putting a smiley face, that's the logo basically to say, all right, we got you. Here's another one. Chalk this one up. Let's leave them leaving their mark. Leaving their mark.
Yeah, my second documentary, which I think I put out in 2019, 2020, was Smiley Face Killers, The Global Slaughter Continues, because it really is a global slaughter. So a lot more international cases are in that.
Nice.
So and those are all included in my book. So all the cases from the first two documentaries were all transferred into a 400-page book.
Now, Doctor, I have a question. Are they going there? You said they're going to be opening investigations, maybe possibly again?
I don't know. They've reopened some investigations and they've changed some cases. One notably is a guy by the name of Chris Jenkins out of Minneapolis, who they originally said, accidental drowning. And then the mother wrote a book about his case. And then they got a new police chief who changed accidental drowning to homicide, like literally said he was killed. And that's another case that I cover in detail. It's in the first documentary, Chris Jenkins, if you remember.
Yeah, I think I remember you talking about.
But there's been changes in understanding. So even the first case, McNeil, like he was found in this water treatment facility where another guy was found like a year later, actually, Andrews. But his family just thought he accidentally drowned. The police didn't tell them anything. And so then they did this investigation by themselves. They went and said, I want to get the autopsy. And they had a really smart guy look at the autopsy. His name escapes me now, but who's passed away. But he's like, they didn't tell you that your son had burns on the upper part of his body and had a mark on an ice pick on his skull. And they're like, no. So the parents of this guy had no idea that their son was tortured. They had no idea that had actually happened, and they didn't find it out till later.
Wow.
Like, it's incredible. So a lot of these people don't even get the autopsies. I mean, it's just off the charts. And the guy's name is Dr. Cyril Wecht, who's a famous JFK researcher, too. But he said the upper body also had char marks and burns as someone had used a blowtorch while torturing him.
Yeah.
Cyril Wecht reviewed the McNeil autopsy photos and agreed that McNeil was bound and burned while still alive.
Wow. That's insane.
Wow.
Based on the fact that fly larvae and indoor
That is
fly were found in the groin area of McNeil's body, Dr. Wecht concluded that he was dead before being placed in the water. I would call it a homicide. He's probably still in accidental drowning. So there's a lot of weird stuff like that. Another one was this guy Dakota James. They said accidental drowning. Like Cyril Wecht looked at it, like I can look at an autopsy, look at a body and see injury. Dakota James had a burn mark around his neck, like somebody put a rope around his neck and tortured him. And they just said they chalked it up to like, injury or damage. I'm like, this guy was freaking garroted. And he had injuries to his fingers, like he was trying to resist or something.
Mm-hmm.
So like one of his fingernails was busted off. It's just the sloppiest, crappiest crap. And I think it really goes to the top. I think that these people are different. They are psychopaths. They're sociopaths. They don't care about the family's suffering. If not, maybe they even enjoy it. They get off on like other people's suffering. They're different. The people who are doing this are different. And there's a small, it's not everybody.
Did you ever see
what you got, Rob?
Did you ever see the movie 13?
Go ahead.
Did you ever see the movie 13? Jason Statham, there's Mickey Rourke. So they basically, it's people who are, need money and stuff. Well, they get this number and they go meet this guy. And they take him in a car and they bring him to like this mansion in the middle of nowhere. And it's a Russian roulette, like for the elites, basically, to like celebrate these people. It's like they're gambling. All right, I'm betting on number 13 to win this round and this and that. And they just keep going and going. It's actually like it's a sick movie. It's sick. Like sick isn't like it's crazy how the thought process of people. It's nuts. Like they literally the elite are doing it for enjoyment. It's disgusting.
Right. That's like why I brought up Squid Game or something. That's what people know. Like, they're different. They're different too. The elites, it's also like, that's when I go back and say all these guys are middle class or whatever. That's a true fact. But you look at it's not, I don't know if it's a direct time, but if you look at what's known as the Dutroux affair in Belgium, like actually here, the Franklin cover-up, all these people are elites. They like to abuse kids. They like to rape kids. They like to abuse people. They are different, have a different sense of how to cut loose. Like the average person, maybe the middle class, do you guys want to go to the bar, drink some beers and get a pizza? That's just totally mundane to them. So like, and it's also, I think, maybe an expression of authority. Like we are the great. And I think it actually ties in, believe it or not, to what Kubrick was telling us in Eyes Wide Shut, because he had all that heraldry in the background. Mm-hmm. And those are the people doing these rituals and sex magic. And that's kind of how they keep in control. And so I think that there's a real darker element that isn't covered in traditional media, but it's real. Like it was found when they did the research into Dutroux and like the Epstein list, they had their own Epstein list in Belgium. It was literally the king of Belgium who could not be prosecuted because he was above the law. And then all of these other landed aristocrats who were involved in this guy Dutroux picking up little girls off the street and trafficking them, like Epstein. And so a lot of this Epstein stuff, there's very dark stuff involved in Epstein that they don't like to cover. But there's a lot of kids who came out of like Venezuela, which is became a communist country. They were trafficked into the Caribbean and disappeared.
Mm-hmm.
Like literally, and Haitian kids, and it ties into the whole Pizzagate. If you look into the Pizzagate stuff, like
with the
John Podesta,
the Clinton Foundation,
it's super dark. Like, where are these kids going?
Sorry, Doctor.
Like, where the 1,000 kids plus that went missing from Maui Island before the fire.
Right.
I mean, it's insane.
That's like, you have to think this is the context of where the Smiley Face Killers is happening, is depraved, total evil, elite behavior.
Mm-hmm. Like 2,000 kids a year go missing from Disney?
I don't know. I can't validate a lot of that stuff, but I think that a lot of stuff that happened in the border, there were kids siphoned off and disappeared. And I mean, I've heard stories of them being distributed all over the country to wealthy families, or wealthy people. And I think a lot of people are really nervous about Epstein because they're going to hopefully name names. We're never going to be healed as a society if these people are not exposed and arrested. It's going to keep continuing. And we had people during this whole Biden, it really wasn't Biden. Biden was brain dead. I think he died, honestly. I really think that they had a stand-in.
I
And
like
Kamal
that
is a
theory.
two-digit. I'm serious. Like
I
people
love
think I'm
that theory.
exaggerating.
No, Florida Mike, you're not exaggerating because
Yeah.
literally Florida Mike messages me every single morning and I have to see this guy. Just joking, Mo Florida Mike. I love it. I love every single second of it. But he's sending me these theories, bro, and it's absolutely insane. And I'm sitting there at work, dude, like pulling my hair out, bro. I am pulling my hair out. It's absolutely insane, dude. It's insane.
It's pretty crazy. So, I mean, I think that it's happening in this context. I think that he was dead, but like they were trafficking people. I mean, there's millions. They let in like 10 million people into the United States, and who knows where they all went.
I agree.
I don't know. Like, I mean, there's some very evil, sick people out there,
dude.
I mean, it's just one of the realities, and a lot of people who aren't, they don't understand them, and which is, I think, a security for the real psychopaths, but it's also a naivete of other people. Like everybody thinks like me, and they don't think like you. Wow. Some people like torturing people, right? And I think they work up to it. Like I think it's like a drug, like any other drug use, where like if you do heroin, you need more and more to get a rush. And so if you become a BDSM sex addict, you need a bigger thrill, more violence, more whatever. And you can go, I mean, you can go into gay, you know, the whole thing of like, I think the first movie I included a scene from Pulp Fiction because of the dungeon, right? Like the dungeon and the gay golf, the ball gags and all that stuff. I think that's all real. Like I think that stuff really happens.
Wow.
And that's why they put it in the movies to show us.
Yeah.
I think there's a lot of exposure by what's his name? Quentin Tarantino in that movie. Like I think he wrote it. He showed the cleaners, he showed the violence, the hitmen, the drugs, the heroin dealers, like the real dark underground, the fixed sports games, right? So he was a fixed boxer trying to flop and all that stuff. So I think that's all, and that dungeon where they're like literally, you know, white trash guys raping dudes. They're not. I mean, externally, maybe if you saw them, they look like, you know, hillbillies or whatever. But that's what the story was, you know. So I got and the code words, right? Hey, Zed, I got a couple of flies, right? So I mean, that's even another one. Yeah. It's not. He's smart enough. Like, hey, I got 2 guys we're gonna rape. No, hey. The flycatcher caught a couple flies, you know.
Yeah, like Adam Sandler and Jennifer Aniston always say, "Hey, you want to go get a couple slices of pizza?" Like, oh, we throw great pizza parties, don't we? Like,
if you watch enough Hollywood films, you'll see that reference over and over again,
all the time.
There was one I saw with Keanu Reeves where he's like, there's 2 women who show up at his house or something, but they use that term, like, hey. You guys want to go get some pizza pies? Like, so somebody's writing it in there. I don't think that he necessarily is, but I was like, whoa. And then like ping pong references, like all the secret stuff is in there, man. Like, it's not a joke. That's why Comet Ping Pong, like they're lying about it to the public. But like, once you realize the terminology and understand the symbolism, you're like, whoa, Comet Ping Pong is freaking terrifying, because a comet in the parlance of like gay people is like it's like a comet passing through the sky. So you have a hot, you know, feverish relationship and then it passes. So it actually has kind of a term, like a sexual interpersonal term. It's named that intentionally. There's no question about it. And throw in all the half moons and downward pentagrams and all the weird stuff that went on there. It was a nexus point for all kinds of crazy. Elephantis International too, trafficking in art. You know, these huge transport boxes going from country to country. Like these guys they know how to launder stuff. One of the great ways of money laundering is actually through art, right? It's really a great way because you can just value it at whatever. And so you saw that with Hunter Biden, totally corrupt, just off the. I mean, you want to talk about extreme corruption? This is another example. Hunter Biden and the laptop, but like he was clearly getting overpaid, in my opinion, getting overpaid for his art. Which isn't that good. But somebody comes in, hey, Hunter, really love your art. Here's $500,000. Give me a freaking break.
Yeah.
Wow.
Well,
I'm like,
brought to you by USAID.
USA, yep.
Dude.
So you have to, I think the smiley face killers, it becomes more when you couch it in the terms of incredible Sodom and Gomorrah level corruption among the elites. It makes sense. Like, and you did Diddy parties and all kinds of stuff. Like so many people have died.
That's a whole other episode.
Yeah. I mean, that gets really dark because you can end up dead. Like, they'll kill you. It's not a joke.
I would love to have you back on for an Aleister Crowley episode, man. That would be crazy.
That's what I was just thinking, man. I'd love
another elite depravity, poor people doing crazy rituals, a lot of money and a lot of free time, man.
So when you were, me and Roger were talking, and when you were getting your audio fixed there first, quick break, and we were talking about Aleister Crowley and LaVey and stuff, and I was like TD Garden, places like where they do events and stuff like that. And you ever hear the theory that Taylor Swift is LaVey's daughter?
Yeah, she looks like Zena LaVey, which is really is his daughter.
Yeah. So
I don't know.
I looked her up, and she actually has a smiley face clothing line.
Wow, I'm not surprised. Nothing really surprised me.
Florida Mike, I sometimes I gotta fact check you, bro. Are you sure about that?
I just looked at it. I'm not saying they're connected, but that's a weird coincidence.
Wow.
The fact that Taylor Swift has a smiley face clothing line in itself is an interesting thing. It kind of goes back to another celebrity he was talking about earlier with Ed Sheeran doing it with the music.
Exactly. And Taylor Swift is a satanic witch, supposedly. They say.
Nothing would surprise me. But a lot of these guys, if you watch enough, like, you'll see all these people with the smiley face on their clothes. And it's like, what is it doing there? I mean, I can go through Justin Bieber and you said Taylor Swift. What's the other one? Selena Gomez,
Beyonce.
It just goes on and on and on. What are they saying? What do they know? Well, the girl who I mentioned earlier, who was she was the psychic, said that it's a sigil. It's like a magical sigil in a smiley face thing. So it has an esoteric and an exoteric meaning. So smiling skull is what it is.
Florida Mike, I am literally so mind blown, guys. I am so mind blown. It's insane.
This is a great episode.
This is such a great episode. I'm loving it, dude.
Dr. Ramsey, I don't want to keep you too long. I know we only had you booked for about an hour or so. So why don't you take a second and let the listeners know where they can find you? I know you got all your documentaries and your books. Why don't you let the listeners know?
This book on Smiley Face Killers, I think, is the most complete record available. So it's all in one place. I broke it down to all the other researchers, so people don't have to go look for, because it's not just me. There's all these other, Jim Smith and all these other great researchers who are out there, and I've included them in this book purposefully because I want people to see how people are understanding the phenomenon of time and space in different areas. There was one out of Boston who called it the Boston drowning. So she's like, this is weird. Her name is, I can't remember. Anyway, the book is available. You can find it on Amazon. They wouldn't let me do an audiobook, so I got to do an audio. There is a Kindle. All my 5 books are on Amazon. You can read about Aleister Crowley, Children of the Beast, Abomination, Order of Nine Angles, which is Global Death Cult. I have 5 documentaries on my Patreon. All you have to do is pay $5. You can watch all the documentaries for free after you pay $5 for your hearts. I mean, I have 2 on Smiley Face Killers.
Can I
Hollywood
interrupt? I am signing up for that Patreon. I'll give you $5 a month plus tips. You take 10.
Well, yeah. Here's the other benefit: is like every $20 you donate, you get a free book. I'll send you a free signed copy, so you can get a book. So I think it's a good deal.
I love it.
And then I have 1,300 episodes. I've done shows on so many different topics, a lot of different guests on
cool, guys.
William Ramsey Investigates podcast.
I love it. Thanks. Thank you so much, man. Really, for your time, dude. It's really, I'm not just saying like
awesome
with my heart, bro.
Appreciate you telling
awesome. Stay safe. Be safe. Things are getting crazier by the day.
Yes, sir.
Please stay together when you're out with your friends and you have people who are young, men or women. You don't want to really terrify them, but like things do go bad. When women go out together, they might as well be going out into the backcountry in Vietnam, and everybody in the platoon comes back safe. It's the same thing with men. Don't leave people out there alone. If they're leaving, end your night early and go home with them. If they overdrink or acting strange, they may have been drugged. It's happened. One of the interesting things about the Riley Strain case in Nashville is how many people came forward and said, I was in Nashville and was drugged and couldn't remember anything for 12 days. And like, there were so many cases. Like they all just came out of the wood. Like there's no place for people to say, tell me your drugging story. Right. Yeah. But then once Riley Strain, like he was acting strange, falling down. This was an experienced drinker. He's a big guy. He was in a frat. Like at 21 and you're a senior, you've done the puking. Yeah. You've had the bad experience with shots of tequila. You know, you kind of pace yourself. He flipped out at 9:30. He wasn't pacing himself. It doesn't make sense. Like I've been around frats in college. Like you're trying to make it till 12. Or I mean, some of these guys drink all night. Like they'll drink till 4. Bud Light. So anyway, stay safe.
See the sun come up.
Yeah. Again, thanks. Again, will you come on the podcast? Can I formally invite you?
Sure. Of course. Just let me know.
I appreciate you. Thank you so much, man.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. It's great to meet all you. And
great to meet you as well,
really
sir.
Appreciate it. Really appreciate it.
Cool, man.
If you ever make it to New York, definitely hit us up and we'll link up.
And we'll send you the audio with the links and stuff.
Yeah, it's really the urban centers are really the most dangerous. Boston, New York, Philadelphia, DC,
Chicago.
Yep.
That's where you got to watch out. Chicago, Austin. All right, guys.
Thanks, Doc.
Peace.
Appreciate you.
Appreciate you.
Out.